Aloha, everyone. Happy Moon Day. Happy Monday. This is a powerful time that we are in. Lotus Dawn here. I bring you the stars astrological updates, and I have been on a deep transformational journey of my own. Many of you can relate. The last month or more has been so profoundly powerful. So many people going through changes, things shifting, and the earth, the planet we live in, seems poised for major change. Many people wanting to know what 2025 is going to bring, the energy that we are rolling into, the future that is being created. And so I had to get up on the live platform to stream to you all because there's so much happening astrologically with the planets and the signs that they are in. 3 planets are currently retrograde. Why is it important to study the stars? Why is it important to study astrology? Why does it matter? Just like everything in our universe has an energy, frequency, and vibration, the planets and the stars also exude a frequency, just like the moon. Many people report that at the time of the full moon, they notice a huge shift in how they feel, right? And in fact, in the 1930s, they did a study that showed that the frequency of women giving birth was like 90% higher on the full moon time than it was at other times of the month. And so these planets, these, celestial bodies, if you will, exert a frequency, an energy, and a vibration that do have an effect. Ideally, we get to a place where we are at cause, and so we are creating our life, but it can be very helpful to know what the energetic weather of the planets and the signs that they are in. J.P. Morgan, this very famous quote, and he says, millionaires don't follow astrology, billionaires do. And why is this? Because knowing the map of the stars, knowing what sign the planets are in and what they're doing, gives us this huge leg up to plot our future, to know where we're going, and to know what the energetic patterns are right now. And so I'm really excited to dive into this. Please feel free to add comments in the chat, share your story, share what's been coming up for you. I know so many people have been reaching out. What's going on, Lotus, with the planets? What's going on? There's so much energy. And so I wanted to share with you. And there's so much. I've just been planning out all the videos I have to make for you all. So stay tuned, because in the next several days, I'm going to be slowly revealing to you what is happening so that you can have greater clarity, greater ease, and greater knowingness about your life, about your direction, about how to plan for the future, and what steps you may need to take to ensure that you're the most smooth flowing with what is, as opposed to going upstream. So I created a presentation for you all. I'm really excited to dive into tonight's topic. 3 planets are currently retrograde. So what does that mean? Most people are relatively new to astrology, or you've never, studied it before. And so most people are familiar with retrograde planets and with Mercury retrograde. What does that even mean, right? So a really quick way to understand when someone says retrograde is that a planet doesn't ever change its motion, right? They're all moving in that wonderful direction that is natural to planets. However, when a planet goes retrograde, a really good way to grasp this is to tune into, or imagine, if you will, all of the planets. Let's imagine they're going to run a race. Okay. And so there's the sun, there's the moon, there's all the planets, they're running a race. Now, when a planet goes retrograde, it's as though that planet slows down. And so maybe the Earth looks back and is like, hey, Mercury, what you doing back there? And so as the Earth turns to look back at Mercury, that's slowed down, it now appears that Mercury is going backwards, but actually it's just slowed its rotation down. And so, what does it mean when a planet slows down its rotation? Well, I want you to imagine for a moment that life, imagine a world where everybody only ever breathes in and they never exhale. Okay. And imagine how much time and energy you would have to use to constantly be breathing in. Would you ever get a time to rest? Would you ever get a time to slow down? Would you ever get a chance to reassess or review or kind of check in on our progress? And so when a planet is retrograde, it's a time of great insight for us to really reassess. I want you to think of all of the RE words here: reassess, review, rejuvenate, renew, reactivate, revision, recreate. It is a time where we are activated to go within and to tune into where are we? What do we want? Where are we going? Where have we been? Is there anything from our past? Is there anything we haven't finished? Are there any contracts we didn't complete? Whether that's official contracts, spoken contracts, emotional contracts. What has yet to be resolved? That is what retrograde means. So, what happens when you have 3 planets retrograde? Well, it really depends on what that planetary energy is related to. Okay. So right now we currently have Mercury, the planet of communication, retrograde. We have Jupiter, the planet, the millionaire planet, which is all about abundance, retrograde. And we have Mars, the planet of energy, the planet of action, the planet of leadership energy, going forwards energy. So imagine for a moment that as a planet, as a society, as a collective, we have both the planet of communication, abundance, and energy to go forwards, appearing to move backwards. Would you think that energetically we feel called to go forwards and take really rapid action towards our dreams and goals and visions? Well, I would love if that were true. But when we have so many planets focused in this area, retrograde, this becomes a time better suited for planning, structuring, visioning, and building what it is you want to create as those planets go forward. So I created a presentation to go deeper into explaining more about what is the energetic of Mercury, what does it mean for it to be retrograde, what is the energetic of Jupiter, what does it mean for that planet to be retrograde, as well as when do we finally get out of this retrograde energy where we feel, some of you may feel stagnant, you may feel frustrated, you maybe feel like you're hitting yourself against a wall trying to make stuff happen. And so that is why I love to bring you this information and these updates, because it can be so helpful as business owners, as creators, as leaders and teachers and guides to know both how we may be feeling, what we may be noticing, as well as what our clients and the rest of the world might be going through as well. And so I literally I had to jump on here to get you this information because I can tune in and I feel and I sense as an empath the collective being in the state of a question mark of like, okay, what do we do now? What's our next step? Where are we going? What should I be focused on? What should I be doing? Right? There's so many questions happening right now. And so the question for all of you is, what would you like to create? What would you like to vision? What would you like to bring through? Where are you at in your life? Welcome back. Part 2. sometimes when you're trying to share the information about a retrograde planet, especially Mercury retrograde, which is all about communication and expression and the thought world, you may have unexpected recording challenges. So that's what just happened. I am going to dive in now into what is currently happening astrologically with 3 planets retrograde. I touched in already on the fact that when a planet is retrograde, we may find ourselves having things from the past that we need to complete, we need to finish before we can move forwards in that area of life. And so Mercury is communication. So we may find that expressing ourselves or going out and sharing videos or sharing content, we may have some old things to complete there to improve it, to make it better, right? Jupiter is also retrograde, the planet of wealth, the planet of abundance. And so we may, as the collective, have a lot of questions, a lot of past things that we need to essentially fix, heal, resolve, or bring into a state of completion before we can actually go forwards in that pathway. So sit tight. I created a slide for you all so we can dive into it. So please feel free to share in the chat how you are doing. What's coming up for you at this time? Have you been noticing any challenges in terms of focus, in terms of being able to have clarity, knowing your next steps, knowing where you're headed? Because when you have 3 planets retrograde, so much of the focus is on things from the past being resolved. It also is a time where if we have unresolved emotions, right? Did we have anything traumatic happen in our past related to communication, related to abundance, related to energy? These things may be coming up so that they can be resolved. So here we go. I'm going to share screen with you all. And so welcome to this little mini presentation about these 3 planets retrograde. It's a time of major change and major transformation as we get ready to go forward into the new year. And so I hope that by knowing what is shifting and changing, it will prepare you, it'll best prepare you for 2025 as it rolls in. So retrograde season. It began around December 6th. I got a little typo there. December 6th. And so Mars, the planet of energy and action, went retrograde. It will be retrograde from December 6th through February 3rd. Then Mercury, the planet of communication, went retrograde December 13th, and it will be retrograde till January 1st. And Jupiter went retrograde October 9th and will be retrograde until February 4th. So what does this mean? So this is a time, as these 3 planets are retrograde, for resolving anything related to communication, related to how we use our energy, our masculinity. How do we take action? How do we act as leaders? How do we utilize our leadership energy? And Jupiter, the planet of the millionaire, the planet of abundance, the planet of wealth. Okay. And so one really quick way to describe what a retrograde period is it is a time of the exhale. Okay, so imagine that as we go through life, when we inhale, we're taking things in, right? We're taking in, we're doing things, we're receiving energy in, doing. There's an active energy with breathing in. When we exhale and we breathe out, we're letting go. Okay, letting go. And so retrograde time is a time of letting go. It's a time of surrendering. It's a time of acknowledging the things in our life that are no longer serving us. And so a great example of this would be going through our closets, going through our cupboards, going through the attic, going through our papers and discerning and tuning in. Is there anything that I need to sort, sift, and separate? What is it that I want to keep? What is it I want to let go of? What is it that I could utilize in my life that maybe I forgot about? Anyone gone through papers before? Your old papers, your old stories, old poetry, maybe even old, you know, books. And as you're going through that stuff, old photographs, you suddenly find that there's all these things that are really actually useful in your life now. And at the same time, you find a lot of stuff that you're like, this is old, right? I don't need this anymore. And so the retrograde time, when you have so many planets retrograde, is a time of really letting go, really tuning into our lives and saying, what is it I want to keep? What is it I want to let go of? And what could I utilize from my past, from what I've already done that could be helpful for me in going forwards? And so I like to think of the retrograde time. We have a lot of planets retrograde, which we do right now. We have 3 planets retrograde as a time of exhale, letting go. And so it's more of a yin, it's more of an internal, right? And it's the winter time, right? We're in the winter. The solstice is on December 21st. And so we're heading into that depth of the winter, the quietest time of the year. And so it's this great time of pause, of recollection, of seeing what have we done so far? What have we created? What have we activated? And then letting go of what no longer serves us. And so we live in a culture and a society, especially here in the United States, that's very much action oriented, externally oriented, go, 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 create, 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 right? And so we don't really acknowledge the exhale in this culture. We don't really acknowledge the time we need to have for reflection, the time we need to sort, sift, separate what it is that we've already created and then let go of what no longer serves us, right? And so as we prepare for 2025, as we go into this next chapter, the universe, the planets, our higher selves provides us this time of retrograde. And so if you're finding yourself challenged with getting stuff done or having forward momentum, please, 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 please have some compassion, have some patience as we move forwards, because this is a time to get really clear and to breathe, right? To breathe in and to breathe out and let go of whatever might be outdated, whatever you don't need anymore, so that you can be very clear, you can be very precise, and you can be very tuned in when the new year comes along. Okay, so the first planet I want to tap into is the fact that Mercury is retrograde. Now, most people who follow my work, or most people maybe don't know what Mercury is, and maybe they don't even know what retrograde means, but Mercury is known as the planet of communication. You can see by the symbol here that it has this upside down looking halo or upside down moon symbol. I always see that symbol as like antenna. And so I see Mercury as being the planet that assists us with communication, with sharing information, with speaking, with writing, right? With, being on the stage and sharing information. It's the sign of it's the planet of communication. It's the planet of learning. It's the planet of teaching. It's the planet of sharing information. In Greek mythology, Mercury is known as Hermes, and Hermes is the god of communication, and he has little wings on his sandals, and he delivers the messages between the gods. Okay, so one example of Mercury is the postal service, right? You could also think of your telephone or the internet or any way that we transmit and share information. And so when Mercury is retrograde, which means it appears to be moving backward in relation to the Earth, it is a time when our thinking may not be quite as clear for what we want to do in the future. Instead, what Mercury retrograde really is pointing us towards is to look back in our files, both our paperwork and our mental files of our memories and our thoughts and the things that we've learned and the communications that we've had. Right. And many of you are probably business owners and you do a lot of communication. You do a lot of emails, you share a lot of video content. And so when Mercury is retrograde, it's a good time to go back through your emails, go back through your videos, go back through your contacts. Is there anyone I haven't spoken to in a while? Is there anyone that I can contact or reach out to touch bases, to nurture the relationship? And so Mercury retrograde is this fantastic time for going back into the archives of our thoughts, feelings, and emotions, our memories, our activities, our connections, our colleagues, and saying, hey, I haven't talked to you for a while, but I was thinking about you. I came across one of our old emails. How are you doing? Because Mercury retrograde really deals with things from the past, associations, people, experiences. And so if we're feeling stagnant about what we want to communicate now or how we want to move forward, sometimes we need to look back. And that's really what it means when a planet is retrograde. So Aristotle said that all communication must lead to change. And I'd never thought about this before, but that's very powerful, right? Every time we have an interaction, every time we read a piece of content, we watch a video, we talk to a friend, we communicate with someone, something inside of us shifts. And that's why some people say, I'm a lifelong student. I love to learn, because every time we share information, it changes us. And currently, Mercury is in the sign of change herself, the sign of Scorpio, the sign of transformation. And Scorpio is magnetic, it is passionate, it is powerful. It occurs between November 23rd and December 6th every year. And when Mercury, the planet of communication, is in Scorpio, you can expect that communication might be a little more intense than normal. It may be more potent, it may be more magnetic. Some of the challenges with Mercury in Scorpio could be dealing with jealousy or possessiveness or intensity, which means on one hand, you might find yourself having very deep, intense, transformational conversations, learning about very powerful things like things of the occult, things related to death, related to sex, related to birth, because Scorpio is all about sex, death, and birth. It is the sign of rebirth. It is the sign of transformation. And so it really deals with those pivotal moments in our life that are initiations. But this isn't easy energy, right? And so having the planet of communication in the sign of intensity and the sign of death, sex, and rebirth, we may be having really intense conversations collectively, individually on the planet. Pluto also relates to power. It relates to being a powerful leader and authority. And so when Mercury is retrograded in the sign of power, in the sign of magnetism, the sign of attraction, we may find our leaders, right, those on the public stage, revealing secrets or information that we never expected. And so expect with Mercury retrograde that we may be having a lot of truth, because Scorpio deals with the hidden, buried, secret things. One other key way to look at Scorpio, or what Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, and Pluto is known as the god of the underworld. And so with the planet of communication in the sign of the underworld, this relates to secrets, things that are hidden, things that are kept buried. And when Mercury, the planet of communication, and Mercury is also the planet of the media, it's the planet of press releases, it's the planet of sharing your story, it's the planet of journalism. And so when you have the planet of journalism in the sign of depth, secrets, and transformation, and it's retrograde related to things of the past, my friends, this might be a time where a lot of secrets from powerful people may be being brought up to the light and brought to the surface to be seen, to be heard, to be read about, to hear about. Planet of communication. And so be prepared if at this time you feel a certain amount of intensity, because if things have been kept secret, there begins to be a certain amount of pressure as the truth pushes to be brought out and seen. Okay. And this could be happening in your own families, in the collective, as well as individually. And so if you notice a certain amount of intensity in your conversations with the family members or with the governmental stage, just know that Mercury will be in Scorpio and retrograde until January 1st. And at that point, as Mercury goes forwards, wow, a lot of things may be very much revealed. Okay, so that's Mercury retrograde till January 1st. The second planet that I wanted to share with you that's retrograde is Mars. And Mars is no joke, okay? Mars is one of the major planets. Mars is leadership energy. It relates to our masculinity, taking action, getting things done. And it is currently retrograde until February 23rd. So we have quite a chunk of this still to go. And what does this relate to for us? Well, Mars can relate to our physical energy. It can relate to our exercise routines. It can relate to the men in our lives. It can relate to the masculine energy as a whole. And both men and women carry masculine energy. However, what it does is it inspires us to act. It inspires us to have courage. It inspires us to have bravery, to go forwards, to have that outer momentum. And when Mars is retrograde, that energy to go forwards may be somewhat redirected. And so redirected how? Redirected towards things from the past. So when Mars is retrograde, we are asked to look at our leadership energy. How have we acted in the past? Have we always been as much of a leader as we've wanted to be? Do we have areas that we'd like to improve? So retrograde really means that it's an opportunity to get better. It's an opportunity to transform. It's an opportunity to heal the blockages that have stood in our way around what that energy and that energetic represents. And so what's very interesting is that Mars relates to leadership, right? And it also relates to our action energy. And it is in a very unusual sign right now. It is in the sign of Cancer. This is not in astrology, this is not known as a very helpful combination. The reason for this is Mars is like this fiery, young, energetic, go out there, make stuff happen, push your foot down on the gas pedal, rev that Corvette, rev that Ferrari, that strong leadership energy. So it's kind of fiery, it's kind of dynamic, it's kind of activated, right? It's that energy of I'm going to go out there and I'm going to have courage and I'm going to make stuff happen. Well, right now, that energy for the collective is in the sign of Cancer. And Cancer is a beautiful sign, but it's very feminine. It's very yin. It's water. It's ruled by the moon. And so the moon is very changeable and it's highly reflective, but it does not have a huge drive for forward momentum. It's much more about the home, nurturing, nourishment. It's related to the woman, the mother, especially can relate to our memories of the past, our heritage, our ancestry. Now, what is very interesting is that it can also relate to our connection to our homeland, because just as Cancer relates to the home, it also relates to our bigger home, right? The home of our country. And so Mars went retrograde right after this election. And that's very interesting because Mars relates to leadership, and in the sign of Cancer can relate to the homeland. And so retrograde means dealing with things from the past that are unresolved. And so this election, Mars and Cancer, this leadership of our country, of our homeland, is not fully resolved. There's contention. Mars can be conflict. It can be anger. Cancer is also the home. And so when you have Mars, the planet of leadership, it's also the sign of warriorship. Mars does not mind creating conflict. It is very comfortable with acting on, I want to do this, let's go, I'm going to do it, I don't care what gets in the way of that. Whereas Cancer is the home and the family. And so when you have Mars, the sign of action and leadership and going forwards and momentum, in the sign of Cancer and the home, there can be the potential for a lot of conflict between the family. Okay. And so if you notice that your family is going through some challenges right now, well, Mars is retrograde until February in the sign of the home and the family. And so there's a deep chance that people are feeling a lot of emotional contention, right? Where it's like it's the time of the holidays, we're getting ready to share it with our friends, our family, and yet there could be conflict. There could be separation between parts of your family having one point of view, you having this other point of view. And so the advice I want to give you is to really slow down and realize that the planet of anger, Mars can be the planet of anger, in the sign of home and family, can create some contention. And, you know, I don't know about the rest of you, but sometimes this happens. Sometimes we have challenges with our loved ones and our family members. And with Mars in this sign of home and family, I want to really invite everyone to really try and cool down, calm down. You know, if you're getting ready for that family get together, that party, you're going to get together with your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, or whatever the case may be. I want to really invite you to slow down because the triggers are going to be hot this year. Okay. Like they are hot. And so it's really important to use some type of, either you want to use some type of breathing to like make sure that you can be calm and cool and collected going into these situations. If you follow Michael Grady and myself a bit, then you maybe know about the tapping, right? And so tapping right now is going to be really important because tapping helps us to clear our emotional field. Cancer rules the emotional field and it's energy. Mars is energy. So Mars in the sign of the emotional energy means we have a lot of energy to clear our energy fields right now. It's a really good opportunity, right? As challenging as being in our trigger, being triggered about our family or about our home or about going home, using energy clearing tools to clear the blocks that are coming up can be really powerful. And so knowing that this is happening astrologically, Michael and I will be leading an event next week. We're still kind of getting the dates clear, but the week of December 16th, we are going to put together an event for all of you because we know how triggering home and family can be, especially with Mars and Cancer right now. And so we really wanted to provide a service to the collective to help our community to clear blocks that you might be having coming up around home and family. This is a really powerful time. The triggers are up. It's the most powerful time to clear. We're with it being retrograde, it means things from the past are arising. So it's a really good opportunity to do this work. Now, I'm going to just pause here. How is everyone doing? From what I've shared right now, are these things that you have been noticing? Does this resonate? Are you having your own stories? It's so helpful to hear everyone's stories and to really see that we're not alone, right? We're part of this big human family and we're each having experiences. We're each having moments where we're feeling or sensing things. And I really desire to reach out and let you know you're not alone. And sometimes these planetary energies can be very strong and we notice them and we're not sure what we're noticing at times, but we know there's something going on. And so as an astrologer, it's so powerful and so exciting to be able to bring this information to you. And so I want to share with you the third planet that is currently retrograde, which is Jupiter. I love Jupiter. I often think of Jupiter as the cosmic Santa Claus. Okay, so Jupiter is the millionaire planet. It is the biggest planet in the entire sky. And Jupiter is all about manifesting huge amounts of wealth. And you know, raise your hand if all of y'all would like to manifest some huge wealth in this coming year. And so I'm really excited to share with you the kind of amazing aspect that Jupiter is making to the sun right now. And I'll be sharing that with you all tomorrow. So stay tuned as we dive into the energy of Jupiter. Even though it's retrograde, there's power there. Okay. And there's power for the future and there's power for setting intentions and going farther. So I hope this video was helpful. I really look forward to hearing your comments, your shares, hearing your stories, because as we go through this, it's helpful to know that other people are also experiencing these energetics and know that we're not alone. And that as we bring our awareness and focus on, oh, this is happening with this planet, this might help me to look back on some things from the past. And as you do that, you might find greater ease, you might find greater flow coming into your life so that you can feel better, so that what you want to create in the future can come easier, and that you can maybe support your friends and family and let them know there's a bit of a trigger around this, this, and this. So be gentle, be kind, love one another. And I'm really excited to come live tomorrow and share with you the magic of what Jupiter is doing right now and the window of manifestation and abundance that we are currently in to set the seeds of our intentions of what we want to create for the next 6 months. So I look forward to seeing you all, and I wish you all a wonderful night. Biggest love. Aloha.